My mom kicked me out via 47-second voicemail, so I turned around and audited her life into bankruptcy. The voicemail was 47 seconds long. I timed it twice. Her voice didn't shake. "You've become a liability. I need you out by Friday. I won't argue about this." Click. No discussion, no warning, no face-to-face, just a 47-second eviction from the woman who taught me multiplication at the kitchen table. I sat on my bed staring at my phone. Liability. Interesting word choice. I'm a compliance analyst. I audit mid-sized businesses for financial irregularities. I find numbers that don't behave. Numbers tell the truth when people don't. I had moved back home 6 months earlier after ending an engagement and relocating for a new contract. Temporary, mutually beneficial. I covered groceries, utilities, property taxes, quietly. Her catering business had been slow, or so she said. I opened my banking app. Monthly transfers labeled house contribution. $1,200, $1,200, $1,200. 6 months, $7,200. Plus groceries, plus internet bill. Liability. Friday was 3 days away. I didn't cry. Crying is emotional leakage. I audit leaks. That evening, I packed methodically. Laptop, documents, backup drive, paper files. At 10:18 p.m., another message came in. "Make sure you return the spare key." Professional. Cold. I stared at the ceiling and replayed the last month in my head. 3 weeks ago, she'd asked me to quickly look over her business books before tax filing. Just a glance. Something small had bothered me. Revenue deposits weren't matching reported invoices. Some deposits were split across accounts. Vendor payments duplicated. Cash withdrawals marked as supply reimbursement. Large ones. Too large. At the time, I assumed sloppy bookkeeping. Now, paired with liability, something clicked. People remove liabilities before exposure. Friday morning, I loaded the last box into my car. She didn't come outside. No goodbye, no hug, just silence behind the front curtains. As I pulled away, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Hi, this is Meredith from State Revenue. We're confirming receipt of amended documentation for Delaney Catering, LLC. My stomach went still. "I'm sorry?" I asked carefully. "The amended income statements submitted last quarter, we're finalizing review." Amended income statements, submitted last quarter. I hadn't helped her last quarter, and I definitely hadn't amended anything. "Who submitted those documents?" I asked calmly. She read it. My old professional email, the one I'd stopped using a year ago. Someone had resurrected it. Someone who knew my credentials. Someone who just called me a liability. I thanked Meredith and hung up. Then I opened my laptop. Password recovery attempt on my old email. Security questions. All answers only my mother would know. Maiden name of my grandmother. First childhood pet. Birth hospital. Access granted. Inbox flooded with sent confirmations. Tax amendments, revenue reclassifications, expense redistributions, all filed under my name. My chest tightened. Not sloppy bookkeeping, strategic misreporting, and she'd attached my credentials to it. If state auditors flagged discrepancies, guess who the internal compliance advisor would be? Not her. Me. I pressed play on her voicemail again. "You've become a liability." No. I had become evidence, and if she wanted to remove me quietly, she should have deleted the audit trail first. I didn't confront her. Confrontation is emotional. Documentation is lethal. I forwarded every suspicious email from my old account to a secure archive. Tax amendments, revenue restatements, expense reallocations. Patterns emerged within 30 minutes. Original reported annual revenue, $312,000. Amended revenue, $198,000. That wasn't a correction. That was compression. But deposits across her business account told a different story. I still had read-only access from when she'd asked me to organize QuickBooks. Total deposits that year, $341,000. She didn't just underreport, she diverted. cash withdrawals labeled vendor reimbursement, repeated withdrawals under $9,000, structured, clean enough to avoid automatic flags, messy enough for an auditor to salivate over. And my name was attached to the revisions. If discovered, it would look like I helped her manipulate taxable income, liability. I called a colleague I trusted, not for gossip, for procedure. Hypothetically, I described a small business owner misreporting revenue while assigning amended filings to an internal compliance advisor without consent. There was a long pause. Hypothetically? She asked. Of course. You'd want to formally document identity misuse immediately, she said, time-stamped, before state review escalates. Exactly. I drafted a formal affidavit, statement of non-involvement, credential compromise declaration, attached metadata logs showing login IP address, origin, her home Wi-Fi, twice, dates aligned with the amended filings. I didn't sleep that night, not from fear, from clarity. Morning came with another surprise, certified mail notice, State Revenue Department, request for supporting documentation regarding amended filings, 3 days. She hadn't told me. Of course she hadn't. If state auditors dug deeper, they'd look at the internal compliance advisor first, me. I drove to her house unannounced. She answered the door slowly. "Oh," she said, "you forgot something?" "Yes," I replied. "My name." Her expression shifted. I stepped inside without waiting. We sat at the dining table where she once helped me study for algebra finals. I placed printed login logs in front of her, IP addresses, timestamps, her internet service provider. "You filed amended returns under my credentials," I said evenly. "It was just correcting mistakes," she snapped. "By reducing revenue by over $100,000? Her jaw tightened. "You don't understand how hard it's been. Hard doesn't authorize fraud." I continued. "They're requesting documentation in 3 days. Her composure cracked slightly. "They won't look that closely." "They already are." Silence. "You're overreacting," she insisted. "Families handle things privately. Families don't forge compliance officers." "I filed a credential misuse affidavit," I said calmly. Her face went pale. "You reported me?" "I protected myself." "You'd destroy your own mother?" "Interesting phrasing. I didn't create the audit trail," I replied. She stood abruptly. "You think you're so smart with your spreadsheets?" "No, I think timestamps don't lie." "I can fix it," she said quickly. "I'll amend it back." It's past that stage. Once a state review starts, amendments become evidence. Her voice lowered. "If they audit fully, I could lose the business." That was the first honest statement she'd made. The catering contracts, the leased commercial kitchen, the payroll contractor, all dependent on financial transparency. "You called me a liability. You made me one." The room felt smaller. And then my phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject line, "Notice of formal examination initiated, Delaney Catering LLC." Full audit. Not a review, an examination. And it listed the internal compliance advisor to appear for inquiry. My name. The formal examination was scheduled for Thursday at 9 a.m. My name was listed as internal compliance advisor. But this time, I wasn't walking in blind. I arrived early. Laptop, affidavit, IP logs, email access records. When the examiner entered the room, she introduced herself and began outlining discrepancies between reported revenue and verified bank deposits. She didn't look at me like I was guilty. She looked at me like I was useful. "I understand you filed the amended statements," she said. "I did not," I replied calmly, sliding my affidavit across the table. "My credentials were used without authorization. Here is documentation of unauthorized access originating from the business owner's residence." Silence. She reviewed the packets slowly. "Have you benefited financially from any amended reporting?" she asked. "No." "Were you compensated for compliance work?" "No." "Do you have ownership interest in the business?" "No." Each answer separated me from the blast radius. When my mother was called in, she avoided eye contact. For the first time in my life, she looked uncertain. The examiner began asking her direct questions: unreported cash flow, structured withdrawals, revenue compression explanations. Her answers were vague.
Mine were documented. Audits are quiet demolition. They don't explode, they dismantle. By the end of the meeting, the examiner outlined next steps: full financial review, penalty assessment, possible referral for enforcement. My name was removed from advisory representation, officially documented as unauthorized. I walked out of the building legally clean. She did not. 3 weeks later, penalty notices arrived: back taxes, late fees, accuracy penalties, interest accrual. The total exceeded $147,000. Cash reserves insufficient, credit strained, loan applications denied, clients nervous, contracts paused. Then came the decision: Chapter 7 filing, business liquidation. Delaney Catering LLC ceased operations 6 months after the 47-second voicemail. Bankruptcy isn't cinematic, it's paperwork and surrender. The leased kitchen equipment was repossessed, the event van auctioned, remaining inventory sold. At the final creditor meeting, she looked at me across the room. Not angry, not superior, just tired. Afterward, she approached me. "I never meant for it to go that far," she said quietly. "It went exactly as far as the numbers required. You could have helped me fix it. I tried. You removed me." Silence stretched between us. "I was scared," she admitted. "Fear explains behavior. It doesn't excuse it." "I won't ruin you," I said finally, "but I won't protect fraud either." That was the boundary. Months later, she found part-time work catering small private dinners, scaled down, transparent, manual invoices, cash counted properly. We speak occasionally now, carefully. But here's what I learned. When someone labels you a liability, check who's hiding the deficit. Because sometimes being removed is protection, and sometimes the audit isn't revenge, it's survival. So let me ask you, if someone used your name to shield their financial deception, would you stay quiet to protect them, or would you document the truth and protect yourself? If you believe accountability is stronger than guilt, like this story. Comment "audit" if you would choose documentation over drama, and subscribe for more stories where numbers expose what words try to hide.